Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. National gods. Only I can create a mysterious civilization. Suyu traveled to an era where everyone could create the world and become a creator. Here, everyone can create their own world and civilization. At the beginning, Suyu awakened the dead world, which was considered a wasteland where no living creatures could survive. However, it is impossible for organisms to survive, and civilization can still be created. A civilization composed of mystery and strange talk. Fear of Rice Man, Slender Ghost, Bloody Mary, Canyon Yellow, with each mysterious and bizarre tale being created, strange creatures, and even the birth of legendary evil gods. The world is boiling with excitement. This is a story about mysteries piercing through various extraordinary civilizations. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Add more rules. You are listening at novelfull.audio. New book release, urgently needed everyone's collection support. In addition, flowers, tips, evaluation tickets, and monthly tickets are all the greatest encouragement and assistance to the Meteorological Bureau. Add update rules. Add 1,000 flowers and one more chapter. Evaluation votes increased by 100, with one more chapter added. Reward recipients 5 times with one chapter added. Scrolling and begging for flowers. Seeking collection. Seeking evaluation. Please give me a reward. Request all data support. It's December, and there's still over a month left until the Chinese New Year. The Chinese New Year is still very early this year. The author hasn't gone home for the Chinese New Year for a long time. Calculating the time, it has been at least 4 years. No one knows the pain of being unable to go home during the Chinese New Year in a different place. Watching others and their loved ones gather together, I can only face the cold window and drink beer alone. It's really uncomfortable. But there's no other way, only by working outside can one earn some money. During the Chinese New Year, if I am on duty, I can still receive some overtime pay. Although the boss cannot offer such high overtime pay, it is still several hundred yuan more than my usual salary for work. And I can also make a New Year's Eve dinner, a large plate of dumplings. Last year, I counted more than 30, and they were very full and delicious. I am very lucky to come to Feilu this year and meet such lovely readers. It can provide me with great spiritual comfort. The author really wants to go home for the Chinese New Year this year, and really wants to. I don't want to face the cold fence and windows alone. I don't want to eat over 30 dumplings cooked by the boss's wife. I want to go home. But when I go home, there is no overtime pay. Although I know that a few hundred yuan is not money for everyone, it's probably more than just a meal. But for me, it could be a month's worth of food. Really, every sentence is true. Maybe some people don't know what it's like to eat mantou with pickles. I used to be in the most difficult time, over half a month. To be honest, even dogs don't eat it. It's just okay to be full after eating, mainly because after eating, the stomach and intestines are uncomfortable and a certain part of the body has been severely affected. This year, it exploded directly. I went to the hospital twice and had 2 consecutive circumcisions, which was unbearable. Adding insult to injury. Not to mention this, everyone should pay attention to their physical health in the future and not indulge in reckless eating and drinking. Tell me about this book. I feel very frustrated when publishing this book. Another point is that the theme of this book is not particularly popular, but it is indeed something that the author really wants to write about. I believe there must be someone willing to work with the author to carry out this book to the end. Another issue is the amount of updates. As long as everyone has a lot of data, it's not a problem to watch 20 shifts every day. Finally, the author would like to say that the new book period, the first few days, and various types of data are very important to the author. Flowers, reviews, monthly passes, and comments are all available. You can check your own account, and if there are still flowers that you haven't invested in today, you can invest them in the author to give them some encouragement and support. If there is a wealthy old man, it is not impossible to offer some rewards and reminders. It may be enough for the author to eat a mantu. The author would like to express his gratitude to all of you and sincerely hope for your help in submitting data. New book release, urgently needed everyone's collection support. In addition, flowers, tips, evaluation tickets, and monthly tickets are all the greatest encouragement and assistance to the Meteorological Bureau. Add update rules. Add 1,000 flowers and one more chapter evaluation votes increased by 100, with one more chapter added reward recipients 5 times with one chapter added scrolling and begging for flowers. Seeking collection. Seeking evaluation. Please give me a reward. Request all data support. It's December, and there's still over a month left until the Chinese New Year. The Chinese New Year is still very early this year. The author hasn't gone home for the Chinese New Year for a long time. Calculating the time, it has been at least 4 years. No one knows the pain of being unable to go home during the Chinese New Year in a different place. Watching others and their loved ones gather together, I can only face the cold window and drink beer alone. It's really uncomfortable. But there's no other way, only by working outside can one earn some money. During the Chinese New Year, if I am on duty, I can still receive some overtime pay. Although the boss cannot offer such high overtime pay, it is still several hundred yuan more than my usual salary for work. And I can also make a New Year's Eve dinner, a large plate of dumplings. Last year, I counted more than 30, and they were very full and delicious. I am very lucky to come to Feilu this year and meet such lovely readers. It can provide me with great spiritual comfort. The author really wants to go home for the Chinese New Year this year, and really wants to. I don't want to face the cold fence and windows alone. I don't want to eat over 30 dumplings cooked by the boss's wife. I want to go home. But when I go home, there is no overtime pay. Although I know that a few hundred yuan is not money for everyone, it's probably more than just a meal. But for me, it could be a month's worth of food. Really, every sentence is true. Maybe some people don't know what it's like to eat mantu with pickles. I used to be in the most difficult time, over half a month. To be honest, even dogs don't eat it. It's just okay to be full after eating, mainly because after eating, the stomach and intestines are uncomfortable and a certain part of the body has been severely affected. This year, it exploded directly. I went to the hospital twice and had 2 consecutive circumcisions, which was unbearable. Adding insult to injury. Not to mention this, everyone should pay attention to their physical health in the future and not indulge in reckless eating and drinking. Tell me about this book. I feel very frustrated when publishing this book. Another point is that the theme of this book is not particularly popular, but it is indeed something that the author really wants to write about. I believe there must be someone willing to work with the author to carry out this book to the end. Another issue is the amount of updates. As long as everyone has a lot of data, it's not a problem to watch 20 shifts every day. Finally, the author would like to say that the new book period, the first few days, and various types of data are very important to the author. Flowers, reviews, monthly passes, and comments are all available. You can check your own account, and if there are still flowers that you haven't invested in today, you can invest them in the author to give them some encouragement and support. If there is a wealthy old man, it is not impossible to offer some rewards and reminders. It may be enough for the author to eat a mantu. The author would like to express his gratitude to all of you and sincerely hope for your help in submitting data. Add update rules. Add 1,000 flowers and one more chapter evaluation votes increased by 100, with one more chapter added reward recipients 5 times with one chapter added scrolling and begging for flowers. Seeking collection. Seeking evaluation. Please give me a reward. Request all data support. Add update rules. Add 1,000 flowers and one more chapter evaluation votes increased by 100, with one more chapter added reward recipients 5 times with one chapter added scrolling and begging for flowers. Seeking collection. Seeking evaluation. Please give me a reward. Request all data support. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 1. Awakening the World, Death Star Abandoned Realm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After waiting for so long, finally this day has arrived. I heard that the genius goddess from the neighboring South City No. 1 Middle School has successfully awakened a world with a diameter of 62 kilometers, directly setting a new record in the South City. Sleeping trough, 62 kilometers. Is it really fake? Of course, he is a genius after all, not something we can compare to. TSK, the world with a diameter of 62 kilometers is probably capable of converting those advanced energies. Yeah, spiritual energy and fighting spirit. If they could be transformed into such advanced energy, they might be able to soar to the sky in one step. I don't know what kind of world I awakened to. Jiangqing No. 1 Middle School. In a certain classroom. A group of young girls are passionately discussing. Their faces were filled with anticipation and eagerness. At the same time, there is also a hint of nervousness. Today is an incredibly important day. Awakening Day. Finally, I waited until today. Su Yu's expression was calm, but there was also some anticipation in his heart. He is not a person from this world. It has been a long time since I traveled to this world that is very similar to my previous life. For a full 16 years. He already has a good understanding of the situation in this world. Here, as long as you reach the age of 18, you have the opportunity to awaken your own world and transform into extraordinary energy. And it can also create various civilizations in the world. Among these civilizations, there are both technological and martial arts roots. It also has countless extraordinary civilizations. Someone has transformed the energy of fighting spirit and created a civilized fighting spirit. Someone transforms spiritual energy to create a civilization belonging to cultivators. It can be said that as long as one can awaken successfully, one can ascend to the sky step by step. Even creating the worst civilization can instantly widen the gap with ordinary people. And if awakening fails, it is highly likely that one can only be an ordinary person, struggling for life and doing nothing. So, for everyone, Awakening Day is a very crucial day. Today, it will determine the direction of their future lives. Just as everyone was discussing. The door of the classroom was slowly opened. A woman with a curvaceous figure walked into the classroom and immediately silenced the originally noisy crowd. Today is Awakening Day, but don't be nervous. I believe you have been looking forward to it for a long time, just waiting for today's arrival. The time to test your learning achievements over the past 3 years is now. The teacher hopes that each of you can have a bright and beautiful future. Class teacher Lu Wuyan stood on the podium, cheering on all the students. Li Ming, Wang Hu, Zhang San. Students who have reached their names, please go to the awakening room to awaken. Quickly, the students who were called out had a solemn expression and walked towards the awakening room. The next awakening will affect their future life development, which is extremely important. In no time, the first batch of awakening ended. The students walked out of the awakening room one by one, their faces mixed. Some people are happy, while others are sad. It is obvious that the outcome of awakening cannot be entirely satisfactory. Some even fell into despair on the spot. The second batch of awakened students, please enter the awakening room one by one. Lu Wuyan sighed and continued to call the roll. Su Yu is also in the second batch of awakening queues. Following the crowd, Su Yu slowly walked into the awakening room. He has no joy or sadness in his heart, but there is no tension. Awakening room. In front of each person, there is a round transparent crystal ball placed. Place your hands on the awakening crystal, perceive with your heart, and guide the original divine power in the awakening crystal into your body. During this period, you can awaken to the world. If the original divine power has been exhausted and has not successfully awakened from the world, the awakening will declare failure. Now, please prepare yourselves. The teacher glanced at all the students. Everyone suddenly understood and extended their hands. Suyu is no exception. Extend your right hand and place it on the awakening crystal. The awakening of the world, only this one opportunity. Awakening to the size of the world will determine its potential. The larger the boundary, the greater the probability of advanced energy appearing. Magic, fighting spirit, soul power, even the legendary spiritual energy. And if it's a small world, often only low-level energy can appear. For example, true chi, internal power, and vigorous chi. Even in some extreme cases, the awakened world has no energy. The size of the world's diameter often determines its upper limit. However, it's not necessarily that the small world cannot develop. As for what kind of civilization to create, it still depends on the type of energy awakened in the world. Suyu thought to himself. Awakening begins. As the teacher's words fell, the divine source within each crystal ball begins to burst forth. Suyu could feel an energy gathering in his palm. This energy slowly flows into his body through the palm of his hand. After a moment, Suyu found that there was an extra space in his mind. This space is chaotic and lifeless, devoid of any vitality. Wherever it is, it gives people a feeling of emptiness. Subsequently, a world belonging to Suyu emerged. This world still has no vitality, no breath of life. Here, filled with the breath of death and destruction, it is not suitable for any living creature to survive. Not to mention the birth of those advanced energies, even the emergence of life is almost impossible. It is extremely difficult to build civilization within it. After all, how could civilization possibly emerge in a world where even life does not exist? Death, desolation, chaos. This is the world awakened by Suyu. Quickly, everyone was awakened. The aura emitted by Suyu instantly caught the attention of many people. What kind of world is this? It's so strange, isn't it? Yeah, this world seems to have never been recorded before. What exactly is the situation? He seems to have successfully awakened, but how could it be like this? Who knows, it seems that his luck is not very good. At this moment, everyone's gaze was focused on Suyu. After all, the world he awakened to was simply too strange. This student did indeed awaken successfully, but such a world cannot naturally give birth to life, cannot evolve civilization. Awakening teacher was very surprised and stared at Suyu in disbelief. This is Death Star, Abandoned Realm. A weak question, has anyone seen this type? Feilu's novel, Fei Wants You to Look Good. Chapter 2. Creating Strange Tales, Death in the Wheat Field. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Death Star. How could there really be such a wasteland? I remember, this world is filled with a sense of stillness, and it's impossible for any living creatures to survive. Yeah, although awakened, it's not even as good as the ordinary world. It's too tragic. Alas, let's have a joyful moment in the air. Upon hearing Teacher Awakening's words, many students began to whisper. There is no mockery, after all, being able to awaken is already considered good. But what awakens is actually a world of stillness. This sense of difference. The world awakened by many people is just the most basic ordinary world, and they are somewhat disappointed. Not to mention awakening out of a dead world. They looked at Suyu with a hint of pity in their eyes. The world of stillness, as the name suggests, is a world that cannot create living beings. Even if it is created, it will not be able to survive in that sense of stillness. Difficult to accommodate other forces, unable to integrate into laws in this world, even basic rules may be chaotic. It is a world destined to have no achievements. Among millions of students in each class, such a world may not appear. Although it is extremely rare, everyone does not want to awaken to such a world. Even the most basic world without any extraordinary energy can still follow the path of technology. And in a world of stillness, where there are no living beings, how can civilization develop? Alas, unfortunately, I have already successfully awakened. Suyu, you don't have to be too discouraged. With your grades, even if you can't create civilization, the future won't be too bad. Those ordinary universities, based on your grades, should be available for selection. Lu Wuyan's mood was complicated as she looked at Suyu. Although Suyu successfully awakened, it was still a world of stillness. It is obvious that it is impossible to create civilization. Suyu's usual grades are excellent. It can only be said that fate is deceiving people. A world of stillness. Suyu looked at the world he had awakened and had an idea in his heart. He never had the thought of giving up. He had many ideas about the creation of civilization. Even in a world of silence, Suyu has confidence in creating a unique civilization. As a traveler, Suyu is well aware of the diversity of civilizations. Just like the current dead world, unable to allow living beings to survive. But what if it's something that has no vitality and can exist without even relying on any substance? In Suyu's cognition, there are many eerie creatures. If they are created, it may not necessarily be impossible to form a true civilization. Strange civilization. Although it is just an imagination. But it may not be impossible to achieve. Some powerful mysteries exist, even connected to rules, and can use rules to cause harm. If successful, one can even create evil gods and become a truly powerful civilization. Compared to other worlds, it is definitely not weak at all. Teacher, thank you for your advice, but I have already made a decision. I will participate in this year's college entrance examination in this world of stillness. In Suyu's eyes, there was an incomparable firmness. After speaking, Suyu returned to his seat amidst the surprised eyes of his classmates on the side. It's a pity that Suyu's grades are still good in the world of stillness. He wants to participate in a college entrance examination in such a world. Isn't it that he can't bear the blow and goes crazy? In a sense, a world of stillness is the most rare. After all, only tens of millions of people can produce one. But this can't be considered good luck, even if there are no living beings, still want to develop civilization. I hope I don't wake up to this world then. The students are discussing extensively. Of course Suyu could hear it, but he didn't pay much attention. Follow your own path and let others talk. Compared to giving up directly, Suyu is still more willing to give it a try. Soon, the awakening ceremony ended and the teacher announced the dissolution. Everyone also left one by one and began preparing for the college entrance examination. Suyu also left and returned to his own dormitory. On the bed, Suyu's eyes were confined, and his consciousness entered a world of stillness in his mind. World name. None. World diameter. 1 kilometer, species. None, source power. 100. Looking at the world with only 1 kilometer in diameter, Suyu gave a bitter smile. This size compared to those slightly larger squares, it is even smaller. Moreover, this world is still filled with a sense of stillness, and creatures cannot survive. However, there is also a way to expand the size of the world. Initiate war, attack other worlds, and absorb them. Of course, this requires a strong civilization. Since it is currently only so large, it is clearly not advisable to engage in violent warfare. So, Suyu's current plan is to take the route of elite soldiers. Creating some powerful and treacherous creatures first and leading them in battle may be a good approach. Suyu already had a rough idea of the first mysterious creature that was about to be created. Since it's currently only that big, then build a strange talk town. Although the region is not vast, it does not necessarily mean that the creatures within it are weak. The lifeless aura is a terrifying presence for living beings, but not necessarily for non-living beings. This dead world is perfect for creating those mysterious and bizarre stories. Su Yu's mind moved, and the power of the origin quickly dissipated, and some substances began to be created. These fundamental forces are the initial generation of each world at its birth. In this world, Su Yu is the true creator. Generating matter, changing terrain, and even changing the rules of world operation can all be achieved. Of course, all of these require a high amount of original power. In an instant, the ground keeps churning and collapsing. Countless substances began to constantly recombine and construct. Subsequently, most of the world turned into fields of wheat. Above it, there are countless withered black plants and trees, exuding a chilly feeling. This is exactly the scene that Su Yu is about to build. The death wheat field. Under the influence of a dead world, the grass and trees created will wither in an instant. Under Su Yu's guidance, a touch of blood red appeared in the withered wheat field. Like dried blood adhering to it, the death wheat field at this moment is a dark red. Subsequently, some withered stems quickly intertwined to form a humanoid shape. In the blood-red wheat field, eerie figure stood tall. A mysterious tale woven from straw. Fear of Scarecrow Man. Ladies and gentlemen, the new book is on its way. I hope you can give me some fresh flowers, review tickets, or whatever. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 3. Fear of Scarecrow, Legion of Shadow Crows. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Scarecrow of Fear, interwoven with countless withered straw, is now standing still and terrifying. It has no vitality, quietly in this dead world, like a dead object. But Su Yu knew that it had already been created successfully. Congratulations to the creator for successfully creating hero-level units. Fear Scarecrow, first-level hero unit, grade Silver, skills. Wuhai Grassman, Fear, 5 Bone Abundance, Night Cutting, Crow Storm. Wuhai Scarecrow. The Scarecrow of Fear summons a secondary Scarecrow over time, with slightly inferior strength and the same skills, and permanently exists. Fear. When first discovered by the enemy, it will cause a fear effect on the enemy, which depends on the local willpower. 5 Bones Abundant. Scarecrow of Fear initiates a life drain on the enemy, which will continue to cause damage. Night Cutting. Fear Scarecrow attacks with a sickle, causing damage to enemies within range. Crow Storm. Summons a group of shadow crows, with the number determined by their strength. The shadow crows exist permanently. Feature. Scarecrow of Fear will absorb human fear and grow. As long as there is still a source of fear in the world, Scarecrow will not disappear. Undoubtedly, this is a powerful hero-level unit. Not only can you summon clones over time, but you can also summon the Shadow Crow as your own type of soldier. And the way Scarecrows grow up in fear is also very unique. Absorbing fear can lead to growth. Silver grade quality, found treasure. Su Yu felt a hint of joy in his heart. The level of hero-level units is divided into black iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamonds. These grades basically determine their growth limit. Silver-level hero units can become third-level heroes once they have grown to full size. You should know that the world level is determined by the strength of the strongest in civilization. The world where third-order heroes appear is called the third-order world. And Su Yu's current level is naturally level 1. However, with the appearance of the Scarecrow of Fear, he is no longer worried about his future. It's not because of the appearance of a silver-level hero, but because he successfully confirmed his own ideas. A mysterious civilization is feasible. Fear of the Scarecrow was created by Su Yu based on his own memory. The horror stories of the Scarecrow have spread widely in his world, with various versions available. And this Scarecrow of Fear is born by combining various strange tales, with the power of its origin, and the stillness of this world. The Scarecrow of Fear watching the death wheat field. It is the embodiment of fear, and the sickle in its hand will harvest one life after another. As long as there is still fear of the Scarecrow in the world, it will not disappear. It is obvious that I have succeeded. So, in the future, there is hope for building even more powerful mysteries and strange tales. In Su Yu's mind, there were too many powerful and mysterious rumors. It's completely possible to create them one by one. However, as the Scarecrow of Fear was created, Su Yu's original power was also depleted. The original power of 100 points is now only 34 points, which has consumed a lot. But creating such a powerful hero unit is a great deal. Su Yu's goal was originally the elite military route. Explosive conscription and so on, this dead world is not enough to sustain. If enough worlds are annexed and the region becomes vast, it is worth considering. Speaking of which, fear of scarecrows has a characteristic. Su Yu cast his consciousness into the world and came to the field of death wheat. This hero-level unit, created entirely by oneself, is certainly completely at the mercy of oneself. Looking at the terrifying scarecrow in front of him, Su Yu gave the order. From now on, as long as you can summon it, summon an unlimited number of shadow crows. The summoning of the grassman is like a clone of the Scarecrow of Fear, appearing over time. The Een Crow, on the other hand, can be summoned continuously, but it only needs to consume the aura of stillness. But the most essential thing in this world is the aura of stillness. As long as there is enough time, the Scarecrow of Fear can constantly summon and form a legion of shadow crows. It can be said that this powerful hero unit can completely form an army alone. The Scarecrow of Fear nodded slowly, causing some grass shavings to fall off. It does not have a vocal organ and cannot speak on its own, but it can make the sound of someone it has killed. Of course, the current fierce Scarecrow has not yet been killed, so he is temporarily mute. Although unable to speak out, it still has intelligence and can understand Su Yu's words. Gaga gaga. Quickly, the ghostly crows appeared in the dead wheat fields, chaotic and noisy. Their eyes flickered with a strange red light, looking very intimidating. This is the Een Crow summoned by the Scarecrow of Fear, composed of the breath of stillness. Een Crow bronze level troops, current level. First level, skills. Curse Claw, physical reduction, mental immunity. Curse Claw. The attack of the Shadow Crow has a curse effect, dealing continuous damage to enemies. Physical reduction. The body of the Een Crow is not a physical entity and is immune to some physical attacks. Mental immunity. The Een Crow, composed of the breath of stillness, is immune to mental attacks and will not suffer negative effects. Features. Summoned by the Scarecrow of Fear, the body is composed of the breath of stillness, immune to mental attacks, and grows by absorbing fear. In no time, 100 or so Een Crows were hovering in the air, with a small scale. Looking at this soon-to-be-built legion, Su Yu expressed great satisfaction. The Shadow Crow Legion and the Scarecrow of Fear both make a living by collecting fear. However, there is currently no way to provide fear. It seems that we can only rely on conquering other worlds. Su Yu immediately determined the method to grow his world. Collect fear. In the current world of stillness, civilization cannot be considered to have emerged. After all, they just survive here and have no civilization at all. Of course, in terms of combat effectiveness alone, Su Yu has already reached the standard. And the embryonic form of the mysterious civilization has been established. For future development, just continue to follow this path. Death Star, it's not that civilization cannot develop. As long as I can create a truly mysterious civilization, I will definitely be able to stand at the top of the creator. Next, I will gradually prove the correctness of this path. Su Yu's expression became even more resolute. Since the mysterious civilization has been proven feasible. So, of course he has to walk to the end of this road. Those strange stories, terrifying legends, and even unimaginable evil gods will all be created by him one by one. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 4. His approach is like a sword going off guard. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. 3 days later, Jiangqing No. 1 Middle School. Today is the time to test the progress of all students in creating civilization. During this period, everyone has been doing their best to transform their world. If spiritual energy is born in the world, try to guide civilization towards the path of cultivation. If internal power or true energy is born, guide civilization towards the path of martial arts. If the world is suitable, we can also let civilization follow the path of technology. Although each civilization has different upper limits, this is not something that everyone is concerned about. After all, there are only a few who can reach the upper limit of civilization. That is something that geniuses should care about, not something that ordinary people should pay attention to. At this moment, thousands of students gather in long teams, waiting for the results of the testing. During this period, they did their best to apply all the knowledge they had learned before. And today is the first time to test the results. After the transformation of the original divine power, magic has appeared in my world. It seems that I will take the path of a magical civilization in the future. My civilization is destined to follow the path of martial arts, and during this period, I have also been guiding. It's not a problem to get a high score, is it? I really envy those people who give birth to spiritual power in the world. Their upper limit is much higher than ours. This is not certain, it's hard to say whether they can pass the actual combat test. The early stage of cultivation civilization is not too strong. Look, isn't that the person who awakened from the dead world? He's actually there too. If I were him, I'm afraid I would have dropped out long ago and prepared to get into a regular university. There's no need to waste this time. Watching Suyu walk, everyone is discussing it one after another. After all, there are not many people who awaken from the wasteland, and it is not certain that one will emerge in a few years. And facing everything in front of us. Suyu didn't show any change in expression. For him, those doubts and those strange looks. There is no need to care. The law of the jungle remains unchanged throughout history. They raise doubts because in their eyes, abolishing the world means a bleak future. So, Suyu felt that there was no need to explain anything too much. In the coming period, he will use his strength to silence everyone. Soon, a long queue formed ahead for testing. Suyu followed the team to the forefront and announced his current situation in the world. Not bad, the world has been transformed very reasonably, and the creation of creatures also meets the standards of martial arts cultivation, which can be considered a good choice. The combination of spiritual energy and technology. This student's idea is very good, but countless people have tried it before, and the upper limit is not as good as a normal cultivation civilization. Surprisingly, it took so much original effort to completely transform the world. It's simply amazing. This one is even more heavyweight, completely not transforming the environment, and directly creating creatures. The guidance of martial arts civilization is not carried out in this way. Why not listen to what is already listed in textbooks? In the observation room. The teacher in charge of this test was discussing the situation that occurred during the test. Quickly, they discovered an anomaly. There is a world where hero-level units have already appeared. Generally speaking, when all awakened beings evolve civilization, they first convert some of their original power into energy. Subsequently, the world will be transformed and civilization will evolve later. As civilization becomes more powerful, some special entities will emerge, which are hero-level units. But how could this student choose to directly use the power of their origin to create hero-level units? Never heard of it. Everyone can be certain that not many people would choose this way. On the one hand, the creation of hero-level units may not necessarily be successful. Moreover, the probability of failure is extremely high. If it fails, the power of the source will be wasted in vain. Even if it is successful and lacks its original power, how can it continue to evolve civilization? Crazy. This kind of gameplay is like sword strikes the edge. Although it has been successful, it cannot be advocated. Surprisingly, hero-level units were created directly without the emergence of civilization. It's unbelievable. Yeah, some people don't know how many creatures they have created, only 1 or 2 hero-level units can appear, but they can actually succeed directly. It seems that this classmate is a true genius, it's a pity. They have already heard about Su Yu's deeds. Good talent, but unfortunately, the awakened world is a dead world, a wasteland. Unexpectedly, the opponent directly utilized the deathly aura in the world to create a hero-level unit. It is obvious that this is a sword going off course and difficult to sustain. However, it seems that he doesn't have a choice either. In a world of this size, it is extremely difficult to develop a civilized part-time job. So, this extreme method may actually be the optimal solution. An old teacher pushed his glasses and slowly expressed his opinion. Many teachers around suddenly fell silent, constantly pondering. So what do you mean? Su Yu's rating, what should we do? This is indeed the first time I have encountered such a situation, and in my opinion, I still can't give it too high a rating. No, I think this student is very creative and should be given a high score as a sign of recognition. Are you joking? He sacrificed his future civilization potential and consumed most of his original power as a result. Everyone was debating for a long time without coming to a conclusion. It's not that they lack workability, it's just that this situation is too rare. Moreover, the score of this test is not only related to reputation. More importantly, ranking rewards. People who can achieve high scores will receive many rewards, which will greatly help them. Schools use this type of testing to select key training targets. Stop arguing, take a closer look at this world of silence, and you'll know why I think this classmate is doing a good job. The old teacher let out a loud roar, almost losing his usual gentle demeanor. Subsequently, Su Yu's world of stillness was revealed. On the silent field of death stood a scarecrow with a terrifying appearance. Above it, countless crows hover. There is still a deathly silence here, but it seems to have added some unknown rules. Don't touch the wheat fields, don't provoke the crows. Although it is not explicitly stated, the eerie aura and the dried blood seem to be telling the story of this rule. P.S. The new book sets sail, and I am here to search for data. The free data on the first day is really important for the new book. I kneel down here and beg everyone to give me some review tickets, flowers, monthly tickets, and so on. Thank you very much. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 5. Different types of civilizations, evaluation ranking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Quickly, everyone discovered an anomaly. The hero-level units in the silent world have extremely high potential. Silver-level hero unit. Not to mention that this was created by a newly awakened student. This hero-level unit was created based on the characteristics of the silent world. It can be said that it fits perfectly. This level, if fully grown, is already enough to upgrade the world to a 3rd level, with great potential. That's why I really value this student. The old teacher pushed his glasses and gave his analysis. Undoubtedly, this extreme approach cannot be advocated. After all, the probability of this method failing is not small. But Su Yu has already succeeded. Since that's the case, this student's rating should not be given a low score. It's unbelievable that a world without civilization has become so powerful. At present, it seems that in this evaluation, he is indeed the most outstanding. Many teachers changed their topics. After seeing the creatures created by Su Yu, their thoughts directly changed a lot. At this moment, the door of the observation room was quietly opened. A kindly-looking old man walked in, who was the former principal of Jiangqing No. 1 Middle School. I have already heard about Su Yu's story. It's a wonderful idea to awaken from a dead world and still have such a creation. This evaluation can definitely give him the highest score. If we can pass the upcoming practical test. Jiangqing No. 1 Middle School, have produced an incredible genius. Upon hearing these words, many teachers were immediately surprised. It is definitely rare to receive such praise from the old principal. Jiangqing No. 1 Middle School has been teaching for decades and has produced probably no less than 100,000 students. Those who could be given such an evaluation later became influential figures. After the evaluation, Su Yu returned to the classroom with the team. The results of the evaluation have not yet been released, and everyone has been eagerly anticipating it. After all, if you can achieve high scores, there are solid rewards. Those rewards can completely accelerate their progress and expand their lead. I don't know if I can enter the top rankings. I've done my best to transform the world. After transforming the world, I have already seen the embryonic form of civilization. Can the rating be increased significantly? Not necessarily. After all, the rating is based on a comprehensive evaluation of many projects, and it's too difficult to get a high score. Although I don't know who the first one is, I'm afraid there's already a candidate at the bottom. I don't know who secretly mentioned it. Everyone's gaze immediately converged on Su Yu. In their eyes, there was both pity and happiness. I am grateful that the world I have awakened to is not a wasteland. Even in the ordinary world, as long as the environment is transformed normally, creatures are created, and then slowly guided, civilization can still evolve. Although not very powerful, it is much better than nothing. And the abolition of the realm basically loses the possibility of civilization appearing. After a while, the homeroom teacher Lu Wuyan walked into the classroom and began today's teaching. Today's assessment has ended and the results will be released soon. Don't worry, everyone. I believe that in the past few days, everyone has completed the transformation of their own world and started preparing to evolve civilization. And what we are going to talk about today is the different types of civilization. Some people awaken in a world where there is no extraordinary energy, but they can also produce materials as a civilization that provides logistics. Some people, on the other hand, develop an extreme war maniac and only focus on their war capabilities. There is no right or wrong between the two options, please choose according to your own situation. Lu Wuyan paused and continued, there are also classifications of that type of war civilization. Some people will choose to win by quantity, such as the Zerg civilization. Some people prioritize improving quality, such as the monster civilization, where each monster is incredibly powerful. Of course, most civilizations are comprehensive, relying on a huge population base, which also gives birth to some powerful entities. Those who exist are called hero-level units. It should be noted that the improvement of world level is closely related to the strongest in the world. So, once powerful hero-level units can be born, the world's potential will be greatly enhanced. At present, everyone has completed the transformation of the world. Next, we should try to evolve civilization and focus on developing its power. Next, you will face practical evaluations. Everyone nodded in agreement. Not all civilizations have the potential for war. But even without much combat ability, it has other uses. For example, providing resources for sale, producing various things, etc. The type of civilization with the potential for war often chooses to constantly fight and expand itself. Of course, these are all things after the development of civilization. Nowadays, what they need to do is create their own species and let them evolve into civilization. These species may not necessarily be human. Hero-level units. It is said to be extremely rare and born according to the characteristics of civilization. My awakened world has shown true chi. It seems that I will take the path of martial arts in the future, and it seems more suitable for explosive weapons. The world I awaken seems to only be able to create a low-level race like the Doghead, sigh. Doghead people are already considered good. My world originally had fighting energy, but under my transformation, it is not suitable for the human race. It seems that we can only create warcraft. Civilizations that can produce hero-level units generally have great potential and seem to have nothing to do with us. After class, everyone was discussing it one after another. In no time, the evaluation results were announced. Numerous students quickly gathered to see who had the best grades during the 3-day world transformation. Suyu yawned, but he wasn't too interested. Those ratings are not important to him. The important thing is whether one's own plan is correct. And, the power of the origin is not enough. After creating the Scarecrow of Fear, Suyu's original power had almost been depleted. It is obvious that this is a difficult problem. The acquisition of the power of the source can either be achieved by conquering other worlds and annexing them. Either it is the source liquid of high prices in the black market. But due to its preciousness, Suyu currently cannot afford it. Perhaps it's time to start the war. Suyu squinted his eyes, and now that the war is starting, it seems a bit early. But without the original power, his future development would be impossible. At this moment, a loud shout came, attracting everyone's attention. Sleeping slot. The person who ranks first in this evaluation is actually Suyu, who has awakened from the wasteland. Numerous students gathered around the leaderboard, exclaiming in amazement. Feilu's novel, Fei Wants You to Look Good. Chapter 6. Shocking the whole school, the essence of the essence. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Following the exclamation of surprise, Suyu slowly walked towards the gathering place of the crowd. He was somewhat surprised by his top rating. I thought that this kind of sword-walking style gameplay would not be recognized by others. I didn't expect the school to give me such a high evaluation. I'm so ashamed that I can even rank first in the abandoned world. It's a bit unexpected. What exactly is it? Yeah, it's clear that we can't create a world of living beings, let alone civilization. Is it because there's a problem with the school's rating? Impossible, in my opinion. It's probably Suyu's talent, far exceeding all of us. This is still a wasteland. How terrifying would it be to give him a world that is even more ordinary? Looking at Suyu at the top of the list. While everyone was discussing, some inexplicable emotions arose in their hearts. Originally, they had both pity and regret for Suyu, who had awakened from the wasteland. Of course, more people feel that Suyu cannot compete with them. Now, Suyu ranks first in this first evaluation. Moreover, it is still under the premise of awakening out of the wasteland. How can they not be ashamed that this awakens them from the ordinary world, and even those in the powerful world? In the crowd, Suyu saw a familiar figure. That is a beautiful girl with a ponytail tied, a tall figure, and a cool temperament. Jiang Li, the recognized school flower of Jiangqing No. 1 Middle School. At this moment, Jiang Li's expression had a hint of closure. Prior to this, her grades had consistently ranked first. He is a true genius. And now, in this evaluation she was surpassed by others. Looking at herself ranked second on the leaderboard, Jiang Li sighed lightly. Although she felt a little disappointed in her heart, she also knew that the school's rating would not be unfounded. She turned around and found Suyu behind her. Being able to rank first in the abandoned realm, you are indeed stronger than me. However, before the next evaluation, I will work even harder. Okay, Suyu nodded lightly. Only then did everyone notice that the top-ranked official had arrived. Everyone's gaze immediately turned to Suyu. Among their expressions, there was admiration and envy. And more importantly, it is unbelievable. They couldn't imagine why Suyu could be ranked first. However, there is no jealousy. Because they already knew what the world of Suyu's awakening was like. It can be said that the difficulty of such an opening is definitely higher than theirs. Seeing Suyu coming. A teacher waved his hand and said, "Suyu, come with me." Suyu nodded and left with the teacher. I walked out of the teaching building and arrived at an office door. Principal's office. Go inside, the principal is waiting for you inside. The teacher smiled and gently pushed open the door. Suyu pushed the door open and entered, only to find the old principal sitting at his desk. Suyu was not surprised when the old principal approached him. After all, the world you create is indeed quite unique. Seeing Suyu coming. The old principal stood up with a kind smile on his face. Suyu, please take a seat. Thank you, principal. Suyu didn't feel any nervousness or restraint and sat down at the desk. Suyu, classmate. In this evaluation ranking, you are the first in our Jiangqing No. 1 middle school. The old principal looked at Suyu and said, according to our school's regulations, if you rank first in the first evaluation, there will be a reward of 500,000 star coins. 500,000. Suyu was taken aback. Although I had known for a long time that the rewards were generous, I never expected it to be such a huge sum of money. For an ordinary person, 500,000 is definitely a high reward. For awakened individuals, the more money, the better. With this fund, it can be used to purchase many resources for the development of the world. It can be said that in the initial stage, every awakened person is short of money. Only when civilization evolves successfully, can it have production capacity or be able to fight, can it gain benefits. However, Suyu's current development is not lacking in money. He doesn't need to purchase any resources. It only requires a high amount of original power. The initial power of the awakening of the world has now been largely squandered. For Suyu at present, there is only one way to obtain the power of the origin. The liquid of the origin. However, the price of the original liquid is high and extremely difficult to purchase. For Suyu now, he still cannot afford it. You have achieved this result through abolishing the realm, which can be said to be unprecedented. And create creatures with the power of their origin and perfectly match them, successfully creating hero-level units. It can be said that this is almost a textbook operation. For this, the school has already discussed internally and will give you an additional reward of 500,000 star coins. The old principal continued, the school's mechanism is for selecting talents for training. A total of 1 million star coins will be credited to your account later. 1 million star coins are extremely difficult for ordinary people to accumulate. After becoming the awakened one, such a large sum of money can be received immediately. If it were anyone else, they would probably be extremely tempted. Suyu's expression was calm as he pondered. Looking at Suyu with a calm expression in front of him, the old principal couldn't help but secretly nod. He is truly someone who can achieve such results. This kind of mentality is already beyond ordinary people. That. Suyu scratched his head and said, can rewards be exchanged for equivalent items? I want to exchange for a portion of the essence. The selling price of one source knight is exactly 1 million star coins. But that's just official pricing. If ordinary people want to purchase, there are too few channels. The prices in the black market are not affordable for ordinary people. The old principal was somewhat surprised and said, this money can be used to purchase other resources for development. Don't you think about it? Although most of your original power has been used to create hero-level units, there should still be some surplus. Isn't it a better choice to purchase some resources to evolve civilization? Generally speaking. When every world first awakens, it will be transformed first. Then, the birth spirit was created and civilization began to evolve. But the route Suyu chose was not like this. Faced with the old principal's question, Suyu shook his head. No, for me, the improvement of the essence is even greater. His plan is to first create those powerful and mysterious mysteries before starting to conquer other worlds. The growth mode of a mysterious civilization is somewhat unique. Just like the Scarecrow of fear today. Its way of growth is not through absorbing any material or energy, but through absorbing fear. So, regarding the construction of a mysterious civilization, it is definitely impossible to be the same as a general civilization. I just saw a big brother in the comments section giving me a lot of flowers, and I was deeply moved. Thank you. In addition, I would like to ask for some data again. Your support will be the greatest encouragement to me. Please give me some flower evaluation tickets, big brother. Feilu's novel, Fei Wants You to Look Good. Chapter 7. Another horror tale, Slender Ghosts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay. Since that's the case, the school's inventory happens to have the essence liquid, so it's just a reward for you. The old principal stood up and took out a small bottle from the drawer of his desk. In the small bottle, it is the essence of the essence. By absorbing it, one can increase their original power by 100 points. Suyu took the essence and said, "Thank you very much, old principal." By the way, Suyu, classmate. What is the approximate route you will take in the future? The old principal urgently asked. After all, Suyu doesn't seem to be in a hurry to evolve civilization at all. Generally speaking, the evolution of civilization requires multiple species to constantly reproduce. The creatures created by Suyu are somewhat unique. The civilization I want to create is somewhat unique. It will probably create many powerful creatures and constantly fight to expand the world. Suyu smiled slightly. A dead world cannot allow organisms to survive, and such a choice is also normal. However, if we could annex other worlds, perhaps there is a chance to add some creatures to your dead world. The old principal said in a low voice. The world of death and stillness, known as the wasteland, is precisely because there are no living beings to survive. But if it is strong enough to annex other worlds, perhaps there is still a certain turning point. Okay, thank you very much for the old principal's reminder. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. Suyu stood up, ready to leave. Okay, you go back first. During this period, if you can continue to improve, your future path will go far. I have a good view of you. In the eyes of the old principal, there was a hint of anticipation. After returning to the dormitory, Suyu couldn't wait to use the essence of the essence. In an instant, the essence liquefies into waves of brilliance, blending into Suyu's body. It seems that we can continue with the creative bizarre talk. Suyu's mind moved and his consciousness entered a world of stillness. World name. Deathly world diameter. 1 kilometer, species. 2, source power. 135 still only 1 kilometer in diameter, pitifully small. However, 2 more species were added. One is the Scarecrow of fear, and another species is the summoned Shadow Crow. And the original power, which had already consumed a lot, has now been replenished to 135 points. As for the scenes in the world, most of the land is occupied by dead wheat fields, while the remaining half is empty. To build a bizarre town, the area is still a bit too small. Since that's the case, let's first create a new bizarre story about the remaining space. Suyu's mind moved, and the power of the original source began to slowly dissipate. On a large open field, trees rose up from the sky. Soon, dense forests appeared next to the dead wheat fields. However, these towering trees are not lush in color, but rather eerie in black. Even the branches, swayed by the gentle breeze, seemed like monsters with open teeth and claws. The mist in the forest is ethereal, and the trees are incredibly tall, making it impossible to see the boundaries. If you walk into this forest, you often lose your direction immediately and find it difficult to get out. The scene construction is almost done, and the atmosphere is quite good. Next, it's time to create bizarre stories. Suyu's mind quickly recalled many strange stories about the forest. However, due to the limitations of the power of the origin, those bizarre rumors that are too powerful cannot be created for the time being. Moreover, when creating, it is necessary to combine the aura of stillness and must be carefully conceptualized in order to create the most fitting bizarre tales. Soon, Suyu had the answer. Horror tales about forests. Slender ghosts. That is a long-standing horror legend. It is said that in the midst of the forest, a ghost sometimes appears. Although he is humanoid, tall and thin, his hands and feet are extremely long, and he looks extremely uncoordinated and eerie. His face was extremely blurry, as if he had no facial features at all. Sometimes, his terrifying hands and feet can even turn into tentacles. No one knows whether he is human or some kind of monster. Since we want to create slender ghostly figures, we cannot do without the mist in the forest. Suyu's mind moved, disregarding the intense consumption of the original power, quickly creating clusters of mist. These mists, unlike normal mist, seem to have a spiritual intelligence that can be mobilized by Suyu. Clouds of mist surround the forest, adding a touch of mystery to it once again. Quickly, based on the legend in his mind, Suyu created a mysterious figure. A tall and thin man created by combining the power of his origin with the aura of death and stillness, according to a terrifying legend, appeared in the Forest of Terror. A tall and slender body, over 5 meters tall, with arms reaching up to the knees, the whole person looks incredibly slender. Slender Ghost Shadow, First Level Hero Level Units, Grade Silver, Skills Mist Hidden, Flashing, Mist Blade, and Whisker Generation, Fog Hidden. When slender ghosts walk in the mist, they obtain a hidden effect, move faster, and are not easily detected. Flash. Quickly flash to the enemy's rear, causing a fear effect. Mist Blade. Condenses mist into a weapon, with no restrictions on its type. Whisker Generation. The slender ghost body can be transformed into tentacles, and the stronger the strength, the more tentacles will be generated. Feature. No one knows where the slender ghost came from, nor does anyone know how he will kill. They only know that if they enter the forest, they may encounter this terrifying presence. The mist in the forest will devour the enemy's vitality and feed back to the slender ghost, causing it to grow. Another hero-level unit. Looking at the thin and long ghostly panel, Suyu felt a dull and refreshing sensation. Although he doesn't have the summoning ability to fear scarecrows. But the slender ghost is equally powerful. His ability is most suitable for launching a surprise attack. As long as he is in the mist, he is almost an incarnation of terror. This terrifying forest is also likely to become a taboo place. If someone chooses to launch a war against my world, they will probably be scared to death. Suyu thought to himself. However, the slender ghost has a small limitation. Stepping out of the mist in the forest, his strength will decrease significantly. So, he is not suitable for external warfare. I don't know if it's possible to mobilize those mists during the battle. In Suyu's heart, an additional idea emerged. Feilu's novel, Fei Wants You to Look Good. Chapter 8. Awakened Association, Conquering Other Worlds. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Creating slender ghostly figures, as well as the terrifying forest and mist within, consumed nearly 100 points of primordial power. We're almost bottoming out again. Suyu sighed. It is obvious that the power of the origin is not enough. And now, he also has to face another problem. The world space is not enough. This small world is now mostly wheat fields, and the remaining space is occupied by forests. To improve, on the one hand, it requires the power of the origin, and on the other hand, it is the size of the world. Although catalyzing directly with the power of the origin can also expand the world, it is not cost-effective. Suyu's plan is to fight. Expanding this space and gaining the power of origin by annexing other worlds. Slender ghostly figures, scarecrows of fear, legion of shadow crows. These are all the strength in my hands. Suyu looked around and counted the strength in his hand. At present, the number of crows has reached hundreds, and when hovering in the air, there is already a small scale. Their individual strength may not be too strong, but with group cooperation, they can also cause significant damage. And 2 hero-level units are currently the main combat forces. In the Forest of Terror, slender ghostly figures hide in the mist, unable to be seen clearly. On the wheat field of death stood a motionless Scarecrow, as if watching something. At this moment, the world of stillness, except for the occasional cry of a crow, has been incredibly peaceful. Quiet, eerie, is the main atmosphere of this world. At this moment, Suyu discovered that the Scarecrow of Fear could already create the Witch Scarecrow. However, creating the Witch Horror Grass Man also requires the use of the original power. Suyu's mind moved and mobilized the remaining power of the source. On the field of death wheat, there suddenly appeared some eerie changes, countless straw stalks intertwined, and a new Scarecrow appeared. This is a secondary clone generated by the Scarecrow of Fear, with the same abilities but slightly weaker. Not bad, as a result, I have gained a bit more power. So next. It's time to devour other worlds. Suyu's current approach is indeed extremely extreme. His fundamental strength is basically used to enhance strength. It can be said that in terms of war capability, this world is already very strong. But when it comes to development ability, there are some shortcomings. This world still cannot generate life on its own. Not to mention any civilization. But if it is possible to annex other worlds, it is not necessarily the case. The Awakened Association. This is located in the center of Jiangcheng and is almost one of the most important buildings. This is a 100-story building, filled with places to handle various things. As an awakener, Suyu's information is also registered here. And today, Suyu came here to launch a war and annex other worlds. As for the goals, they are naturally those unowned worlds. The world without a master refers to the world in which its controller dies. Once the world controller dies, these worlds will become ownerless. Some of these worlds have already been shattered due to chaotic rules. The ones left behind will be registered together. Can build a channel for people to wage war against the unowned world. If you win, you can swallow it and integrate it into your own world. This is also the source of most people's innate strength. Suyu looked around and came to a window. "Hello, may I ask if you need anything?" A staff member asked with a smile. When I saw the boy in front of me still wearing school uniform, there was a hint of surprise on his face. For students who have not yet graduated, it may be a bit early to come to the Awakened Guild. After all, most civilizations had little combat power in their early stages. What if we go to the unknown planet at this time and the war fails? However, due to his work attitude, he still didn't say much. Everyone has the right to make their own choices. I would like to inquire about the procedures required to go to the world without a master. Suyu asked. If it's a first-level world, you can pay 10,000 star coins to build a channel. For every awakened one, the first entry into the ownerless world is free. Do you need it? The staff asked. The surprise in his eyes was even more pronounced. How old is the young man in front of me? I'm afraid I've just become an awakener. But, the other party is actually preparing to go to the world without a master. This progress is much faster than others. Moreover, looking at the confident appearance of the young man in front of me, it doesn't seem like someone without confidence. The first time visiting the world without a master is free. That's really good. Suyu nodded and said, "Okay, help me handle it." Although Suyu is not unable to afford this money. But after all, saving a little is also making a profit. Currently, he is still in the early stages and is facing a severe shortage of funds. If we can successfully occupy many unowned worlds and sell some of their resources, we will never be short of money again. Suyu is quite confident about this. Most civilizations only have ordinary branches of arms. There are very few hero-level units. And in his deathly world, there are 2 hero-level units at this time. Soon, a light screen was projected in front of Suyu, creating an unowned first-order world. Among them, there are numerous civilizations with different power systems, all of which are diverse. Most of them are worlds with low-level energy. There is everything from true chi, magic, and vigorous chi. Due to not having much experience yet, Suyu had no choice but to rely on his senses and choose a world with strong energy. In that world, civilization has already evolved. Knightly civilization. They practice vigorous chi, which can be used to protect their bodies and kill enemies. The strong ones among them can also achieve initial release of vigorous chi and harm people from the air. However, it is evident that there is no existence beyond the first level in this world. Moreover, this world has long withered, and its knights have almost become legends. The past power no longer exists, and knights have almost become a legend. It can be said that this world is on the brink of collapse. In no time, civilization will disappear and the world will be destroyed. However, it happens to be suitable for me now. After annexing it, the silent world can grow much stronger. Suyu immediately made a decision to conquer the civilization of knights. After a series of procedures, Suyu returned to his dormitory. His consciousness also entered a world of silence, waiting for the start of the battle. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 9. Launch a campaign, Night Squad. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In a world of stillness. There is no sun here, only some faint light, like dusk with a hint of haziness. The Crow group has basically taken shape now, constantly circling on this relatively small wheat field. A few crows stood on top of the Scarecrow in the wheat field, constantly roaring. The Scarecrow of Fear and the created witch Scarecrow are standing in the field, as if gazing at something. They don't have the habit of being active, they are like a real Scarecrow on weekdays. Unless someone approached them. In the nearby horror forest, shrouded in mist, a faint black shadow could be seen. The slender and eerie figure walked at an unimaginable speed. Besides that, there is no other living thing in the whole world. I don't know how powerful that night civilization is. It shouldn't be a problem to take down 2 hero-level units, right? Suyu's heart is still a bit uncertain. After all, this was his first time launching a campaign. However, on second thought, civilizations in the world of Ownerless are nearing extinction, and it won't be difficult to swallow them up. Tomorrow, conquer that world. Suyu looked at the dying world that was about to take shape, and suddenly felt a bit more confident in his heart. Soon. A night's time flies by in a blink of an eye. Under the guidance of the staff, Suyu stepped onto a flying ship. This flying ship is incredibly huge, with several formations and countless inscriptions engraved on it, crafted from precision parts. This is a creation that combines cultivation civilization, technological civilization, and inscription civilization, and is incredibly powerful. On the airship, there are already many passengers. Some of them travel together, while others, like Suyu, travel alone. And everyone's goal is the same. They are all going to different ownerless worlds for battles. Their final destination is the star field known as the World Cemetery. Where is the place to store the world without a master? About a few hours later. The flying ship arrived at its destination and suddenly stopped. This is the World Cemetery. By activating your channel imprint, you can enter the pre-selected unowned world. A staff member explained. Everyone had been waiting for a long time, so they quickly took out their imprint and linked it to the world without a master. Newcomers who come here for the first time need to pay attention. Some civilizations, even after breaking away from control, continue to develop and become stronger. Regarding this kind of unowned information, it may not be entirely accurate because we only count it once during storage. Of course, such civilizations are in the minority. If encountering such a powerful world, please quickly close the link channel to reduce losses. The staff reminded me. Everyone nodded in agreement. A civilization that is still growing stronger without a controller. If my mysterious civilization were to take shape, I'm afraid I could do it too, but not now. Suyu thought to himself. At the same time, he activated the imprint. In an instant, the passage between the two worlds opened. On the wheat field of death. Thousands of crows arrived in an orderly manner in front of the passage. And the Scarecrow of Fear also began to move rare, with both feet on the wheat field, moving rapidly. After a moment, the Shadow Crow Legion and the Scarecrow of Fear all entered the passage. And the situation at the other end of the channel also appeared in front of Suyu. According to intelligence from the Awakened Association. This world, once filled with vigorous energy, has declined and is even on the brink of collapse. The once powerful knight has almost become a legend. This used to be a kingdom. But nowadays, most cities have been destroyed, leaving only some low-rise buildings. The vigorous energy in the world has become extremely thin. It is extremely difficult to support one's cultivation. The scene has just appeared. Suyu frowned, as if lost in thought. The dilapidated scene here is truly unimaginable. The former kingdom is now only the size of a small town. Some residential buildings stand alone in the town, and the distant farmland has long been abandoned, seemingly untouched. The entire town is deserted and uninhabited. This world seems to have gone through many wars and has now become extremely dilapidated. And the lives within it are also extremely rare. It seems impossible to absorb land from which organisms can survive. Suyu shook her head. It is obvious that this place has become less livable. It is indeed a world that is almost on the verge of destruction. However, there are still figures in this world. In the distance, there happen to be several people wearing armor wandering. There are 5 people in total, exuding a strong aura, and they don't look very human. However, almost all of them looked hungry and seemed to have not eaten for a long time. What is that? The captain of this night squad raised his head and swallowed his saliva. Surprisingly, some crows appeared in the sky. This is somewhat abnormal. There have been no living creatures in this world for a long time. Since an inexplicable change, this place has begun to lose vitality. As a knight, he felt the most deeply about it. At first, grass and trees withered and crops died. Not long after, the livestock also began to slowly die. Everyone was plunged into hunger. The once vast kingdom of knights has also begun to rapidly wither. After that, the captain shook his head and stopped thinking. What happened in this short period of time can be said to completely violate the spirit of chivalry. But he just wants to survive nowadays. Only dozens of former knights remain as survivors of this world. They were able to survive in this purgatory-like world thanks to their strong physique. And now, their numbers are still decreasing. Crow. The knights on the side licked their lips, and the greed in their eyes could hardly be concealed. They have been hungry for too long. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done anything that goes against natural principles. And now, surprisingly, prey has reappeared in this world. How could they not be excited about this? This team of 5 quickly ran towards the distant crows, and the excitement in their hearts was almost indescribable. They have been craving this relatively normal food for too long. Ladies and gentlemen, I saw some supportive guys in the comments section. Thank you very much. Your support will be the greatest encouragement to me. By the way, I hope you can give me some flowers and evaluation tickets. Feilu's novel, Fei Wants You to Look Good.